At Practice Perfect, we're obsessed with helping you grow your business. From monitoring revenue trends to tracking no-shows and cancellations, there are a number of metrics that provide you with insight into your clinic's business performance. This is one of the many things that separates us from other practice management systems out there. Our highly detailed suite of integrated reports designed to provide you with the key performance indicators you need to make the right decisions for your business. In this video, we'll be reviewing reports that cover operations, revenue cycle management, marketing, and patient experience. Now let's dive right in with a look at operations and our first metric, revenue trends. It's important to keep tabs on your revenue patterns over time. Is it going up? Is it going down? Is it seasonal? Do you need more staff members? Can you see potential cash flow issues down the road? Are you growing year over year? These are all questions you should be asking yourself. By tracking your revenue month over month, you'll begin to identify patterns such as busy periods and slow periods, which can be crucial for making vacation, staffing, and marketing decisions. For example, you don't want to invest a ton in marketing over the holidays because you know that many of your clients will be away. Examining your month-over-month revenue can also highlight some good and some troubling trends. Perhaps you're on a generally upward trend, and this just isn't a great month. On the other hand, if things are on a downward trend, identifying this early will give you time to adjust accordingly. In Practice Perfect, you can find these statistics in the Revenue Trend Report. There's no ideal number here. It's going to vary from clinic to clinic. But obviously, a consistent downward trend month over month is not a good sign. It's important to compare month to same month. If December is always bad, compare December to December. Don't compare December to a stellar month. That's not going to give you an accurate reading. As long as the same month performance is equal or on the rise, that's a good sign. Next, we're going to look at therapist productivity. What percentage of your therapist's time is actually spent dealing with patients? How much of their time is idle, browsing their phones, or chit-chatting by the water cooler? You may receive complaints from your therapist saying that they're overworked and that you need more people. But if you find that your therapist productivity is low, then it's not more therapists that you need, it's more efficient scheduling. In Practice Perfect, you can get a clear picture of your therapist productivity in the Provider Performance Summary Report. When you consider the ideal numbers here and take into account clinical documentation time between patients, a 75% productivity is pretty good, which means that 75% of a therapist's paid time is actually spent with patients. At a busy clinic where therapists complete their notes at home, this number might be even higher. Moving on from operations, now we're going to spend some time on revenue cycle management. And the first metric we're discussing here is accounts receivable aging. Accounts receivable aging is the calculation of how many days it's been since a claim was submitted and remains unpaid. The older an unpaid claim becomes, the more obscured its history is and the less likely it is to be collected. Aging is generally reported in groups of 0 to 29 days, i.e. current claims, 30 to 59 days, 60 to 89 days, 90 to 119 days, and then 120 days and beyond. Sometimes a business's line of credit is tied to their accounts receivable aging, and even banks will become wary of a claim's collectability beyond a certain age. To check on the age of your claims in Practice Perfect, you'll want to use the Accounts Receivable Report. Ideally, you want to keep a claim's age as short as possible, but this really depends on who the payer is as well. For example, with client-based receivables, money owed to you by your client specifically, you should never exceed 30 days. Insurance claims typically lie between 30 and 59 days, but sometimes payers are habitually slow. However, if you know that a specific payer typically pays their claims within 60 days, then anything greater than 60 days should be a red flag. Unless your revenue is increasing, your accounts receivable should not be increasing in tandem. If your revenue is flat but your accounts receivable is climbing, this is also a bad sign, and more effort needs to be put into collections. You may have caught on by now that we're really into spotting patterns and reacting to them. So next, we're going to be examining collections patterns with regards to accounts receivable lag. Essentially, this report is indicating how long, on average, it's taking to receive payment on your claims, and whether the length of time is growing, shrinking, or remaining consistent. You're able to determine this by running the Accounts Receivable Lag Report in Practice Perfect. In the world of accounts receivable, looking at trends is key. While a collection time of 60 days on a claim may seem long, if it's consistent and reliable, that's not so bad. However, if your claims used to take an average of 45 days to collect, but are now slowly creeping up and beyond 60 days, you should take a look at your internal billing and collection procedures. Basically, on an accounts receivable lag report, you are looking for a consistent pattern and not a growing spread between billing and receipts. The next two things we'll be looking at are simultaneously one of the most costly and most avoidable mistakes a clinic can make when it comes to their revenue cycle management: missed billing and missed collections. Picture this: a patient visits the clinic, and for some reason, their charges for the day are never entered into the system. Perhaps an admin staff shift change occurred, or a note from the clinician to the front desk was misplaced. For whatever reason, the patient received treatment, but the charge was never recorded. It happens all the time. Fortunately, Practice Perfect offers a daily reconciliation report that will help you put all of the pieces together at the end of the day and ensure that nothing falls through the cracks. No one likes asking people for money, and denying service to someone who won't pay is even more uncomfortable. But it's important to stay on top of this if your clinic has a tendency to let people slide without paying their prescribed share of the treatment. The more that a patient falls behind, the harder it will be for them to ever catch up. Except in cases of hardship, copays should always be collected prior to service being offered, or worst case, right after the service is performed. If a copay remains unpaid from a previous date, it needs to be paid before service can continue. And now we're on to marketing, but more specifically, we're going to learn about how monitoring referral trends can contribute to your overall marketing efforts. It's key to track the trend of new referrals month over month to identify any troubling trends and clearly see the results of your marketing efforts, good or bad. Are the number of new patients reducing every month? Or is it flat or seasonal? Maybe it's quiet every summer, but the referrals begin to pick up the pace in the fall. By comparing the referral trends month over month, or even year over year, you'll be able to use these patterns to predict how busy you will be, staff your clinic accordingly, and spend your marketing dollars more wisely. Our Referral Trends Report allows you to do exactly this. View the referral trends month over month and year over year to get a better idea of the direction in which things are heading. It's never enough to judge your clinic's growth by your bank statement. You should also be looking at the number of new patients you're attracting. Ideally, you want to see some upward movement when comparing the referral trends to the same month last year. By monitoring the trends and integrating them in your marketing strategy, you're bound to see some growth. It is equally important to track the return on investment of your marketing campaigns. Gone are the days of throwing mom spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. There's a massive amount of data available to let you know whether you're actually getting some bang for your buck. Let's say you've ramped up your Google Ads spend. You've given your web development agency thousands to overhaul your website. You did a big mailing campaign to local physician offices. Has any of this brought more patients through your door? By running Practice Perfect's referral report, you can drill down into the various marketing campaigns you've employed and track the source of your new patients so you know whether there's any return on investment. The revenue that you generate from your marketing campaigns should exceed or at least break even to what you have spent on those campaigns. However, sometimes marketing efforts can have a cumulative effect, so results should always be looked at over a long period of time and not just the short term unless there was a very specific campaign, such as a mailing. Google, for example, could take months to show results, much like print or radio ads, as familiarity grows with repetition. Depending on the medium, you may only need to attract a handful of patients before you're in the black, so be mindful of this too. Last but certainly not least, we will examine some metrics that provide insights into your patient's experience at the clinic. The first of which are the dreaded cancellations and no-shows. Every single late cancellation is revenue not coming into the clinic, and, even worse, revenue that could have potentially come from another patient. Perhaps you can spot an issue with a specific therapist. Maybe the clinic cancellation rate is 10%, but Jimmy the PT has a rate of 20%. Is Jimmy rubbing patients the wrong way? Comparing the clinic average to an individual provider's averages is an important part of identifying these patterns. In Practice Perfect, we have a provider performance summary report, which provides the no-show and cancellation rate for each of your individual therapists, as well as the clinic's average, so you can easily spot any outliers and take the necessary steps to address them. As far as the ideal numbers go, 10% seems to be the industry standard for cancellations. Of course, this depends on specific demographics too. No-shows should be 0%. This is not acceptable, and it is a patient expectation training issue. It also helps when you make appointments more difficult to forget by sending consistent appointment reminders, which are proven to reduce the margin of error. And finally, we're on to patient fall-off, or more aptly put, where did Emily go? We haven't seen her in weeks. Patient fall-off is what happens when a patient stops attending your clinic for treatment and therefore not completing your prescribed treatment plan. For example, you have recommended that a patient attend for 3 days per week for 4 weeks. They attend all 3 visits the first week, 2 visits the second week, and maybe they only come once the third week, and then you never see them again. Are they feeling better? Are they feeling worse? Are they telling their friends how great you are, or that you never followed up and don't care? Patients will end treatment early. That is unavoidable, but there should be closure and a proper discharge, even if it's simply done over the phone or via email with a quick confirmation that all is well. This matters greatly because vanishing patients can A, hurt your reputation, and B, come right off the bottom line. You're able to run the patient fall-off report in Practice Perfect to generate a list of all the clients who remain active yet haven't had an appointment in a certain number of days or weeks. In a perfect world, you want to be as close to 0 as possible, but typically, depending on age, injury, demographics, and patient type, nearly 40% of all patients don't fully complete their course of treatment. They simply stop attending when they start feeling better. This does not mean that 40% is an acceptable goal though. That said, we hope you found this video helpful and picked up on a few metrics and key performance indicators to watch out for as you nurture the growth of your clinic. Take care.